This is 10 lies your eating disorder is telling you.
There goes the fighter.
When you suffer from an eating disorder, it almost feels like there's a whole nother person inside of you controlling you, telling you what to think, what to do, what to say, how to behave, how not to behave, and it can be really scary. It can get to the point where you don't know who you are. It can come to the point where you don't know where you end and the eating disorder begins. You completely lose a sense of identity and self-worth. For anyone who hasn't suffered from an eating disorder, it can be very hard and difficult to grasp the concept that here is the person and here is the eating disorder. They are not interchangeable, and that the eating disorder actually does take on a personality of its own and really corrupts the individual who is suffering. Number 10, bones are beautiful. This might sound a little weird, but this is something that a lot of people who suffer from eating disorder hold on to, and they cling to this idea that bones are beautiful. I too have believed this, and sometimes even as I'm going through recovery, I still get caught up in the idea that if you can see my bones, I'm more beautiful, I'm more desirable. But you know what bones are equivalent to? A skeleton. And what is a skeleton equivalent to? Death. You're literally starving yourself or destroying yourself to look like what death is. Number 9, you don't need anyone. Your eating disorder wants you to believe that the only thing that you need in your life is the eating disorder. The eating disorder is almost like a comfort blanket. It's been there for you when no one else has, when in actuality you've isolated yourself from the people who are trying to help you. Number 8, skinny is the only option. Your eating disorder doesn't want you to be healthy. Your eating disorder doesn't want you to be fit. Your eating disorder wants you to be sick. Your eating disorder will tell you that skinny is equivalent to healthy, that skinny is equivalent to fit. Number 7, the lower the number on the scale or the smaller the size you wear, the more self-worth you have. Your eating disorder wants you to associate your own self-worth with a tiny number, which recently I have come to really question this concept because self-worth should be the largest number. Now, this isn't to say go be obese, but think about it. Our society has programmed us to believe that the smaller the number, the better we are, which that doesn't make any sense. Your self-worth and your amazingness is not equivalent to a number. Number 6, getting fit or getting skinny should be instant. Losing weight or getting healthy takes time. It takes patience. Your eating disorder wants you to believe that you need to be skinny or you need to be fit now, right in this second. So you have to do everything in your power to reach that goal as fast as possible, even if that means destroying your nutrition and killing yourself. Number 5, gaining weight equals failure. Along the same lines, eating a bad food equals failure. I have heard time and time again, and I am guilty of this too. I have heard so many girls say, if I ever get to 120 pounds, or if I ever gain, even just 1 pound, I'm going to kill myself. And I am guilty of this mentality as well. I used to be deadly afraid to gain weight because I thought that my life would be over. I might as well kill myself, and that is what your eating disorder wants. It wants you to feel like a failure. It wants you to feel ugly. It wants you to feel so bad that you believe you are so ugly that you are better off dead, that the world would be better off without you because of the way you think you look or the way you think you should look. This is total bullshit, and you need to throw it back in the eating disorder's face. Number 4, food is the enemy and there are bad and good foods. Your eating disorder is going to take any measure to take actual fact and twist it and manipulate it into just negativity and fucked up mentality. It's going to convince you that food is evil. Food is the enemy and you should stay clear of it at all costs. It's also going to convince you that there are bad foods and good foods. And eventually, more and more of the good foods are going to become bad foods. Number 3, you don't deserve good things and you have to earn your food. This falls under the category of people who are addicted to exercise or exercise abusers, people who feel like they have to earn their food. They have to burn as many calories before they're allowed to eat anything. Under this same lie is the idea that you don't deserve good things, and that includes living, and that includes eating. The eating disorder takes your mind and convinces you that you are worthless and that you do not deserve to be on this planet and you have to earn your place here. And that means to be as disciplined as possible and to have as much control as possible. Number 2, you are fat. This lie, your eating disorder, is going to feed to you at any chance it gets. If you see one little ripple on your leg, you're fat. If you see a little pudge in your cheeks, you're fat. If your clothes are not fitting well one day, you're fat. Your eating disorder is going to convince you, even as you lose and lose and lose weight, you're still fat. You are never going to be good enough, and your self-worth is equal to how tiny you can get. This is so dangerous. This is shit. This is bullshit. And this is so dangerous and so harmful. It is one of the hardest lies to turn around and reject. I am still fighting to not believe this one about myself. Even just a year ago, 8 months ago, I was so convinced that I am never going to be able to look in the mirror and think I'm not fat, but I finally have come to a point where I can. I can look in the mirror and say, okay, I'm okay with that. You got to fight through this one. You have to say, even though I feel fat, I am not fat. People don't see me as fat. So this lie is one of the hardest lies to break, but when you do, the rewards, the recovery is so beautiful. It is so amazing. It's so worth it. It is so worth it to finally be able to appreciate and accept your physical appearance as is. And number 1, and this is by far the hardest lie to counter, to fight against, but the minute you break this lie, recovery is going to be so much easier. Not to say it's going to be a breeze. It's still going to be a struggle. It's still going to be a fight, but you break but if you break this number 1 lie, you're good to go. Number 1, you don't have an eating disorder. Your eating disorder is clever, and it's going to use everything it can, all the other lies that I mentioned, and so much more to manipulate your mind into believing that an eating disorder is normal and that you do not have one. But when you wake up from this deep, demented sleep and you realize that, yes, I have a problem and I don't want it anymore, that is the hardest but the biggest step into recovery, through recovery, that you will ever make. And that is what I want to pose to anyone who is suffering, who knows anyone who is suffering, or even you think maybe is suffering. I implore you to wake up and to realize that, yes, as hard as it is to admit that you are sick. I am sick, and I know that I am sick, but I don't want to be sick anymore, and I don't want anyone else to be sick anymore. These 10 lies combined equals a harmful, deceiving life. You're not living when you're listening to these lies. When you're living in the shadow of an eating disorder, you're not fully yourself. You're losing your identity every time you step away from recovery. And I know it is hard. Choosing recovery is so hard, but it is a choice only you can make. No one else can make it for you. No one else can force you into it. The only person who can choose recovery is you. And you can take it one step at a time. Start with recognizing the lies that your brain is telling you, your eating disorder is telling you. Every day is a fight, but it is a fight worth fighting. I want to leave you with one of my favorite quotes that really changed my life and made me start to contemplate maybe recovery is the best option for me. And the quote is, "My worst day in recovery is far better than my best day in relapse." I want to leave you with that. Thank you for clicking on the video. I know it was a little different from what I normally do, but I do want to bring the aspect of eating disorder recovery, eating disorder struggling into what my channel is all about, because this is my journey. I'm 6 months in to recovery. Not every day is easy, I can tell you that. Very rarely is it easy, but I always say it's worth it. Anyway, again, thank you for clicking on the video. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time. Bye.